hello. Welcome to Blaine's Escape Corner, our little corner of the internet where we can hang out and talk about anime. Today, I am joined by Bill0wnag3, longtime friend of the channel, very, very important dude, and guy who I'm about to be able to bounce off the ideas that I have and get a professional opinion on. Don't remote diagnose anyone else unless they're fake characters. So, Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself and where people can find you, all of that.
Well, aside from all the gaming aspects, first and foremost, I'm on Twitch mainly once or twice a week, usually sporadically, most of the time on Tuesdays, but it's a special occasion to be with Blaine tonight, so that's where we are. My background is all sorts of psychotic mess. And because of that, I took a heavy interest in what all that entails. So I went to school for various things, but also majored in psychology. And to this date, it is not my primary job, but I am a marriage and relationship counselor. I'm fully qualified to take care of that. I can, with that, get people discounts on their marriage licenses. I can perform weddings, things like that. So that's my background.
Awesome. Particular thing that got you interested in sort of the psych and consulting that you would like to go into, or just a passion from, why do people do what they do?
It's basically why do people do what they do.
Okay.
I don't have like any sort of like particular instance. I was just like, people act differently, and I want to know why. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, let's. No secret. The reason you're here is because Shikimori is a trash heap. But there's stuff that isn't a trash heap this season. So I'm gonna start like I always do. With sort of updates on what I've been watching. Have you been keeping up, Bill, with shows this season, other than the one that I forced you to that you now hate me for?
I haven't had a whole lot of opportunity. With my new job, I've got with becoming an electrician, there's a lot of behind the clock research and videos and homework and schooling to do. So I've got it all ready to go, 20-minute intervals, which I can fill. But with the whole Shikimori's thing, I put a priority on this one, so I'm.
Well, we'll de-pry it pretty soon here, I think. So I am going to be pouring some Tanuki for this conversation. Feel free to imbibe whatever you desire.
I got one.
Oh, you got one? We'll wait for the compi.
We've got the Simpsons Duff beer.
Oh, there we go. Drink Duff. Duff man likes it. Compi, my friend.
Compi.
Well, when we're done with this and you can actually watch good shows, Healer Girl episode 5, getting into the family and a little bit more of the backstory of a couple of the girls. It continues to be fun. They incorporate music and song into what they're doing, so it doesn't feel like a music video show where you've got we're gonna stop and sing now. It continues to be like, hey, what's over there? And then they sing about like, let's go over there, and we're heading over there, and that's what the song's about. Really fantastic the way they're pulling it off. I'm excited to see future stuff from this team as well. That has been my biggest surprise. I read Healer Girl and they were like, we heal people with song, and I was like, that sounds real dumb. But I have been blown away week after week with the songs. I'm interested to see it dubbed. Do you remember a little anime called Naramadaikon Brothers? Did you ever see that one?
It sounds familiar.
Two dudes and a chick who that's your classic thing, right?
Yeah.
And they are just trying to find schemes in order to get rich, and it has a real fun, classic kind of mobster mafioso feel to it. And there's a lot of singing involved. There's singing involved with like when they get their like tool to do whatever the mission is that round. And it's one of the few where they dub it, and the songs are dubbed as well, and the songs make sense, and the songs rhyme and work on beat and on key, and it's really funny. And even to the point where like there's like a little bit of that classic dub feel where the song will get like Egyptian for some reason, and one of the characters, the line is just, "This part makes it sound mysterious," and it's like, yeah, that doesn't really they just had to make something fit. So best music anime since Narama Brothers, definitely. Do I see someone in pain? Yeah, you see lots of people. If you're talking about Healer Girl, there's lots of times where you're coming up to people who are hurt and in pain, and watching them. Like they're one of the scenes is in a surgery, like the what is it? What is that called? Not a hall, not a room.
Operating room.
Operating room. Yeah, you're actually in the operating room singing so that they can soothe the pain of like the person that's being operated on while they're being operated on. So it's you see some blood. You see some blood in the show, and that was unexpected based on all of the promotional imagery. I was not expecting it to be, oh, the way that they like animate it when they're in like the singing world completely changes what's around them, and it gets really dark when someone gets really close to dying, and it was not something I expected. But then reading up a little bit, Full Frontal Moe had a full article interviewing the director, and it's just hilarious that you've got someone who their first major work that they really had control over was Mobile Suit Gundam G Fighter, which is Gundam the Dragon Ball show. Like it's just funny to see some of that come through. And then I am still plugging away at RPG Real Estate. It continues to have a good episode followed by a boring episode, then a good episode followed by a boring episode, and I can't get off the train because I'm on it now, and I feel like it could be really good. Like there's something in it that tells me like this could be important. You're gonna learn something. This is gonna change something about you, and you're gonna really enjoy this show. But otherwise, I would have dropped it, and I don't want to drop it yet because I still have that feeling. But yeah, those are only caught up on 2, so not a whole bunch of reviews to go over today. But that's okay. That's okay.
That's fine.
You know why that's okay? Because it's not about what I've seen. It's about what I want to complain about. And Bill's here to make sure that I do that properly and safely.
Safely indeed.
Safely indeed. So I thought we would start with a little quiz time. Little quizarino. So that we can figure out which Shikimori are you.
Oh my gosh.
So we're gonna learn a little bit about each other here.
Okay.
I'm not gonna share this to you individually. Do you have the stream pulled up?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I'm gonna put this on. You'll be on that 20-second delay, of course, but I think it'll be okay with a stream since we're not watching like a video or something. So the sweet cutie or the cool heartthrob. So we will get into which one Bill is, which one I am. We're gonna change this so that we can actually see you, because there we go. That's better. No, says Michael. Yes, says me. Not now. Get out of here. Start. All right. You're taking a walk with your partner. Who's walking on the side of the road? Oh, who's walking on the side of the road? Doesn't matter which side I'm on, but I'll jump to protect my partner. I'd rather walk on the side of the road. If something happens, I'll be there to react to it. I'd rather walk on the inner side. Honestly, I didn't even notice which side I'm on. I know which one applies to me. What applies to you?
I'd be on the side of the road.
Yep. I'd rather walk on the side of the road. Why does it disappear completely? What an awful quiz. I can't even tell what I'm clicking when I go to click it. But I did it. Yeah, because you want to be on like the protector side. You have that like internal need to be like, yeah, I need to. It's safer for everyone if I'm on the edge because I can see something coming and I can react to it. 100%. 100%. Alrighty. You go to the movies with your partner. What genre are you going to see, and who chose it?
That's a tough one. We haven't gone to the movies in a while.
When you sit down and start scrolling through your Netflix and your Crunchyroll,
yeah, I guess.
Who makes the pick, and what genres do you like?
Well, we like to watch the Doctor Who because anybody can watch that.
It's a romantic movie you chose together, is what I'm hearing.
I guess so.
When it can always be fun random questions like favorite color of shoe or something stupid like that. Yeah, no, they do always pick something that happens in the show. I'm always curious though, like what happens if you pick things that, oh, that's not what happened in the show, so what's the answer gonna be? How are your grades, Bill?
My grades?
Pretty good, surprisingly. Are you near the top of the class? Good, although it was not among the best in the class. They were okay, they could have been better. Or me and good grades don't mix well.
I was top of the class.
Tippity toppity, same hoppity. So just so you know, all of the answers that Bill gives are probably the answer that I would have given as well, because that's how the internet works when you have facial hair and swoop top hair, whatever head hair is called. We call it facial hair, but we don't call it like upper hair. Like we don't classify hair as different unless it's not on your head. I find that strange in life. How good are you at sports and physical activity? Competent. Sports are not for you. You do well, but if someone important is watching me, you become a world-class athlete, or you're always a world-class athlete.
Competent.
Yep. Golf is about the only game that I do decent at. Time to eat. Are you good in the kitchen? Good?
Yes.
Yes, Master Chef, to be honest. That is a true statement. Who confessed their love first? You?
I did.
Did you have to steal yourself?
Yes.
You do have that little ooh right before, you're like, yep. I gotta make sure I say not the doofus words, but the good words.
Instead of, being like, I really like you. I enjoy your company. I would like to make this official. It's like, Katie, will you go out with me?
Katie, me love. And you just hit your club on the ground. I did the same thing. How do you react if someone tells you your partner is not up to your standards, or vice versa? I've never had this instance. No one's ever been like, well, how are you two together? They're always like, oh, like, how are you two together? They want to know, like, where did you meet? When did you meet? All that kind of stuff. Nobody comes up to you and is like, why are you guys together?
Yeah. I think at most I'd give them a glare.
Yeah.
Is
that are you offended by that though? Because I feel like a glare is like, don't ask me stupid questions.
Yeah.
Again, if it's a stupid question, offended. I'd be offended by it technically. Yeah, we can go with that.
Yeah.
All right. How is your luck? Don't believe in it. It's meh. You got mid luck. You pay it no mind. You don't know how you're still alive, just like Izumi, who should not be alive, from everything we can tell.
I'd say it's neither good nor bad.
Neither good nor bad.
And I know why I'm still alive.
Oh, well, we are sweet and cute girlfriends, so that worked out swimmingly. So that was fantastic.
Aww.
So we got a couple sweet, cute girlfriends here to talk about Shikimori. and how she isn't. So one of the I'm gonna move this so that it doesn't look as weird to you, but no one else will see this. One of the first things that I said is that she looks like she's got protection issues, or like she needs to control and sort of dominate to make sure that he's protected and he's okay, and it's sort of like a job almost. And you responded with that it was parasitic in nature.
Yes.
So what
it's
yeah, what leads you to that idea for
well,
parasitic, and what does that mean?
it's parasitic both ways, because you have both parasites or mutually beneficial couples. For them, they're fulfilling a need for each other, but it's for their own benefit. Shikimori is very possessive, to the point where, it's stated how she's very competitive. She wants to outdo everyone else around her, but she even goes as far as she's across the room, couldn't protect her boyfriend, and his buddy protected him real quick, got injured, and then you is just like being all like, "Oh, you're hurt," and trying to take care of his friend, and she's just like, "Ugh." Like, that's my job. That's hit. I should be with him, and he's taking care of me, and like very possessive, and like that's my role. Whereas on the flip side, Izumi is both bad luck and clumsy together, and
The best of all worlds, really.
Yeah, he would just freaking die.
That is, I think, the weirdest part about the show is that they don't just give him bad luck; they give him, how is he not dead bad luck? I mean, we see that sign fall, and we're like, wow, he only survived because she's got like superhero powers to kick that sign away. But then we get the flashback with the mother where he's like a little kid and he has like a tree branch sticking out of his head and just bleeding. And you're like, what? Seriously, I thought it was like a kind of a funny, like, how is he not dead yet? Like, but no, really, how is this guy even alive? So definitely goes beyond just your typical clumsiness. Do you see that often where someone, I guess we could just call it unlucky, but where the world is against one of the partners and it's just like, well, the other person has to deal with it. Like that seems like a real problem to try to get over.
Yes, you do see that. Not to be like stereotypical or whatever, but usually you see that on the man side of the relationship. It's not necessarily that they're clumsy or they have bad luck. It's all down to absent-mindedness, and men are just very good at it, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of it could be chalked down to actual attention deficit disorders, or carefreedness, just depending on how you were raised or your psychological standpoints. Forgetfulness is a thing, and just women are really good at keeping track of everything, subconsciously and consciously, where men is like, if it's in front of us, I can see it and it exists. If it's out of my peripherals, it's not there.
So you're saying that him having this sort of worse luck or this demeanor where things happen to him is normal, and everybody on Twitter who says this is a new relationship that's all awesome and amazing, or they're lying to me?
They're lying to you.
They're lying to me.
Absolutely. They're all lying to you.
So we see first episode, okay, they've got some kind of relationship, but we don't know anything. Second episode, we get into more of the like that's a sports day episode, and we see her jealousy towards everything. Is that typical of someone in that protector role, or does what comes first, the jealousy or the protectoring?
Usually the protecting comes first before the jealousy, because the establishing a role within the relationship has to happen first before you can become jealous of anybody else fitting into that role as well.
Okay.
And so, say if I was a protector of my wife, but say when we were dating, I wasn't the protector of her yet. If any of her friends or her brother or her father were to be in that protector role, I would have no reason to be jealous or anything like that. So the relationship has been established already. So she became the protector first and then would become jealous.
Now, protector is a word that sounds like a good thing. And that was something that, I kind of commented on a couple reviews back, that it's okay to want to protect your partner. When does it change from protecting someone because they need help or they need something into that, we're starting, we kind of, I get the feeling that we're getting into that Stephen King's Misery side of things, where the protection becomes control almost. We're not there in the show yet, but I could definitely see if this show goes on another 60 years, she's going to break his leg so he can't leave the bed.
Yeah, probably. No, I think it comes to like the whole give a man a fish or teach a man to fish kind of thing. It's like, how long will she just keep giving him a fish rather than like, hey, you got to open your freaking eyes once in a while. Look for what's coming. Get away from the side of the road. Because yes, you can actually, to a degree, control how clumsy you are as a person. You can't control your bad luck if luck is a force to be dealt with in an everyday situation.
Which we'll assume for the sake of this world, because that's the only explanation for all the crap that falls out of the sky at this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, wait, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, protection. So protection is good. As long as you're not, like, is the idea that as long as you're not constantly in that protector role, that there is a time where you're taking a break, because that idea that you're constantly having to be the protector for someone can only go so long.
No, that's absolutely true, because basically that's all the relationship becomes about, rather than finding the times to adjust and be together properly and have more in common than just I will protect you, you will protect me kind of deal. It's like, if that's all you've got for commonality, you're basically got a bodyguard that you can kiss, basically.
That is so true. Why? I mean, I guess if you're paying a bodyguard, why can't you kiss him? Is it in the contract not to? Episode 4 comes out, so we start out with they're already in a relationship. They are protected, and then episode 3 we're getting into the meet his family. Okay, his mom is just as bad luck as he is, and now it's a weird question of the Tanuki's 1,000-year curse that I'm convinced is the actuality behind all this crap of bad luck. And then episode 4 comes out, and I believe you told me, why are you making me watch this boring thing?
Yeah. I got to the end. I will
argue it's the best episode yet, because it focuses on all of their friends.
It is the best episode so far, but still, the best out of something that's terrible is still terrible. I mean, the only reason it was better was because it wasn't about the main characters the whole time.
I think the only thing we get, like, we don't really, in at least that first bit, see any bad luck, and I think that changes it to being a little more interesting. And then we get to the place, and he's staring at the picture of the model, and I'm like, oh man, bad luck gonna come in the form of Shikimori hitting him. She's gonna
Mm-hmm.
do something. The poster's gonna fall down, and he's gonna grope it. Something's gonna happen here,
Yeah.
and then nothing happens, and she storms away, and I'm like, oh, that was like a perfectly normal reaction of teen boy seeing abs and on a hot model, and his girlfriend
Mhm.
being like, you should look at my abs, and you're like, oh, these people are normal, and then you meet the friends, and you're like, I want to know more about Nekozaki. I want to see what her life is like. I want to see how she got to where she is.
Mhm.
Um, I want to know, like Yui seems Hachimitsu, the one that needs like the paracel, who's also really bad in the sun, seems like she's got a really interesting backstory as well, where she has these more subtle traits, but then she also was able to sort of cope with it and make that a
Mhm.
confident part of herself. Inazuka, we don't know a ton about him, but we've all had that friend who wants to like kind of, let's just get things done so that we can then play afterwards. We've seen some of Izumi's childhood. What would you say leads to someone like Shikimori? Because I have been trying to figure that one out. I'm convinced she's like a super spy who's been trained from birth to protect and defend him from the curse. But that is yet to play out as far as the show goes.
I don't even know what would lead those two getting together, honestly. We could go further down the road. They'll have a flashback where he's in some life or death situation. Also, she comes out of nowhere and protects him. And then their eyes meet, and then there's all the sparkles floating around their face and everything. And then that's kind of how it began. But I don't know. Like, maybe she wanted somebody who's a sweetheart, as it was being said that it's because he's had the life he lives. He's such a nice person. He's always looking out for everyone else, and maybe that's just someone she wanted because if she comes from, let's say her family, from what little evidence I've seen, is like a cool family, or they're like very straightforward and very no nonsense. What if she and there's like the passive comments about like I don't ever get home cooked meals like this, so she doesn't get that warm family feeling with her own family, but like from the get go, she got it with her new boyfriend right away.
Oh no, I'm gonna lose you.
Uh,
So I went ahead and cheated, and I did read an article about how their relationship it was and goes. So they spoiler alerts for anyone who cares about this show. Louis Kemner, I know if you're in this audience, you can back out for just a minute. All right. Uh, they met at the like the entrance exam kind of thing. But Izumi meets some bad luck, of course, and then Shikimori helps him with it. He basically he's got a ticket for some reason to take the test. Which again, there's a lot of shows this season that don't make sense from what I understand about the world, like mixing up babies. But you got a ticket to take a test. It blows away. Shikimori gets it for him, and now he feels indebted to her, that he needs to pay her back ever since. And so you have their relationship starting from this point of you did a thing for me and that made my life less crap, and now I feel like I owe you something. And you kind of can see that in his whole like, I want to be the person that she doesn't have to protect, even though the
mhm.
world wants to stop that. Um, but do you think he means it? Do you think he really wants to be the person that she doesn't have to protect? Because I don't see how you can say that when straight up, uh, it's a straight up luck thing.
Yeah, I don't know. He okay, just like she is really cool, really athletic, basically a ninja in disguise, but she just wants to be seen as a cute, uh, girly girl type person. I think it's the complete similarity with with him, where he's like basically a damsel in distress the entire time, but he wants to be seen as the protector. Kind of how the roles are reversed. I mean, if you even watch the little clips at during the OP, uh, Sherlock Holmes and Watson, the roles are reversed. She's Sherlock, he's Watson. The Indiana Jones, she's Indiana Jones, and he's the sidekick in the sidecar of the motorcycle. Alice in Wonderland, he's a bunny, you know.
Yeah, exactly. They do the twist on everything, which I mean, we've always had that sort of like joke and that thing where, you know, oh, she wears the pants in the relationship, and they're just like, yeah, she wears the pants and she's Sherlock. Like that's just what it is and who she is. Do you think it's genuine that she wants to be seen as cute, other than the fact that we've just been told she does? And is her conflict with that realistic? We got like social standards telling people they need to do a thing, and then they go to such drastic measures to not be what they are.
Yeah, it just goes to like what your nature is versus what you want to be is. There's that clash in all of us. That's like, I have these talents or abilities that I don't really care about, but I want to be perceived as this other person. It goes. I'd go as far as to say it's not embracing who you actually are and trying to pretend to be somebody else because they want to be accepted in some other way. Where she doesn't see people just embracing her as a cool like hero of the volleyball team person. Like that's not what she wants to be perceived as. She wants just to kind of actually be left alone by everyone and just have all her focus from her boyfriend.
Interesting. So it's almost the opposite of Comey, where Comey wants to make a bunch of friends. Shikimori, you're saying, is sort of in that leave me alone. I just want to hang out with my man.
Yep. It's the great power and great responsibility conflict.
Now, here's the ultimate question, though. With great power and great responsibility, are they, as I have been told, a bisexual couple?
I don't believe so. I think that's reading a lot into it. There's support for other characters within the series, mothers included.
Yeah, direct lines actually that were given. I don't understand what the need is to take a character and apply your own personal thing to them. You know, growing up, I would watch something and you'd enjoy a character, you'd like a character, and you would say, here's all the good things about that character, and those are what I want to emulate. Here's all the bad things about the character that they overcame, because that's what good shows and good stories are about overcoming those problems, right? And here's how they did it. What sort of lessons can I learn from that to apply to my life? And I feel like a lot of the stuff that I'm making fun of on most nights is just people who are just saying they're just like me and that's cool. And it's like, all right, and do you see that a lot where people are just applying who they are to a situation? Or are most people like, I'm assuming you and me, where they're like, no, look at that situation, how can I apply that to me?
Oh, people like to put themselves into a situation that may not even involve themselves, just to put their own spin on how a thing is played out, how a show is played out, how an event and culture plays out, things like that. It's like, you know, that's where we get our superiority complexes. It's like, why didn't they react this way? Because this is the way I would have done it, and things would just be better.
Have you been able to watch Dress Up Darling?
Watch what now? Sorry, you cut out a little.
Oh, Dress Up Darling.
No, I have it queued up on my Crunchyroll.
Okay,
I believe
that's fine. We don't have to talk about Dress Up Darling specifically. But it is the far superior couple, and the dismissiveness of it due to the fan service drives me nuts.
Mm.
But I don't know. I don't want to dwell too much on Shikimori. Do you have any other profundities
Mm.
that you felt while watching it?
Well, it took a few episodes, but I finally realized there is actually some relationship development that I didn't see in the first couple of episodes. Shikimori is actually getting put in her place every once in a while. Izumi is actually like, no, you're lying to me. You're going to tell me exactly what you're talking about, or let me see what you're doing, or no, I want to know what you want to see for a movie, rather than just letting her be all aloof and like, oh, you choose. And he's like, no, I'm putting my foot down in this, and you're going to be honest with me right now.
So he's taking a bit of a power bottom, I believe, is the Twitter term.
Yes, exactly.
Is that do you think that's gonna foreshadow some sort of switch in their relationship? Because we did have the comment from a couple of the friends that he really runs things when she comes back from shopping, right? And he's like, "Show me what you've got," and she's too embarrassed to show him. And you're like, "Well, she's number one everywhere except she's number two in this relationship." Is that like, do you see that being fleshed out further?
I think at least for an episode, I mean, if the show goes on long enough, we'll probably see one episode where the roles are reversed, where Shikimori is the one that needs to be protected, and Izumi is going to be the one to do the protecting. We're going to think they're going to make us believe that it's going to continue on like that, or it's at least going to balance out the relationship. But no, it's going to be for one episode, one off, and then it's just going to go back to male damsel in distress again.
There's 100 chapters in this manga.
Oh my gosh.
It's like ongoing. It's kind of insane to me that the writer can keep this up. It's just fantastic.
Well, they've got a lot of time to work with it.
I guess they can keep going with it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. What's your favorite 2000s anime? Like 2000 to 2009?
2009? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. You're like, what came out 2000 to 2009?
I know I'm such an old school kind of person. The years just kind of blend together. When
That was also a drastic segue. I love making fun of this show, and I love like trying to figure out what's going on with it. But if she's not some sort of trained Kitsune spy, and he's not some sort of cursed Tanuki, I mean, look at his dad and mom. Like, his dad is clear Tanuki vibes coming off him. Then I'm gonna be upset. Or if they don't just like die off in some sort of ritual suicide, and the show switches to the other three, and we get to just follow the other three for the rest of the show, I'd be happy with that one as well. Or they could just leave. They could just get married and go on a honeymoon or something. But
and then the honeymoon tries to kill them.
yeah, exactly. Well, she can die protecting him from something of bad luck, and then we could switch over to the interesting people. The three friends, and then we can watch that show. That show will be better. But that's how I'm still convinced it's how you make this show good. Is you end it with some sort of curse, and then they both go out, and then we get the spin-off where we follow the three of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, she can definitely die, and whatever spiritual ability she has will be passed on to her boyfriend. Everything will cancel out, and he lives a normal life.
There you go. I have recently started following Brandon, the anime guy, because he's going through like the decades. That's why I bring up the 2000s to 2009, because he just finished the 90s, which you've got Evangelion, you've got Cowboy Bebop, you've got a lot of really foundational anime that are airing in that time. Dragon Ball Z popping up. But then when I look at it, and when I look at the shows that I've seen a lot of, I've seen a lot more 2000 to 2009 than I have 90s. Maybe not percentage wise, but just because there were more shows available, there were just a ton to view. Full Metal Panic being my go-to answer for best anime of the 2000s. Let me I'm gonna pop into a little. Here's a link to everything that I've seen in the 2000s to 2009. You want a refresher on anything. But like this was the decade that gave us Grappler Baki. We got Ponyo, Final Fantasy Spirits Within came out at the same time, as well as like the harem genre really took off. We got the art of the panty shot, where every show just had some amount of somebody that you could see up their skirt or down their pants, and it was an interesting time, because I feel like we only remember the really good stuff from the 90s, but I remember the trash stuff from the 2000s.
Oh yeah.
And some really boring stuff like Dot Hack came out in the 2000s, so like it was also not good.
You thought it wasn't good?
I am so not a fan of Dot Hack. I watched it thinking, oh, video game anime. And they spend the first like 3 episodes just talking in a village. I'm like, oh my goodness. I can't do this. I can't keep this up. Yeah. And this was when like I started torrenting a bunch of stuff. So like I had plenty to watch, and I was like, I'm not gonna sit around here when I could be watching Iki Tosen. Get out of here.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones in this list I'm looking through. Let's see. Because I started off with anime when I was really young, and then I kind of took a break from it middle school and high school years, and then I kind of came back to it during college. So a lot of the stuff I had to kind of revisit. I never really considered Final Fantasy Spirits Within as an anime, but it makes total sense with the genre and the activity that goes on in it.
I just figured if it's on the Annie list, it counts, because Doggy Poo is on there as well. And that's a 20-minute video about how a pile of dog shit can have an emotional journey that goes full circle.
Yep.
That show's ridiculous if you've never seen it. It's literally, maybe it's 10 minutes. Like, it's really short. But if you haven't seen Doggy Poo, you need to. And you can see how a Doggy Poo learns how it has meaning in life.
Okay, well, I've got that clicked off in a new tab.
Well, that one's in a new tab. Make sure it's incognito so nobody knows your scat fetish.
Doggy Poo. Yeah, no, let's see. If I go through here, some memorable ones. Black Lagoon definitely hooked me pretty quickly. I mean, the whole modern day pirate thing was very interesting, and just the everyday salary man is like, I'm done with this life. I want to go and be on this boat with these.
It's an isekai without it having to be an isekai.
Exactly.
Because he goes to a different world that he's just unfamiliar with. We've had fish out of water for years before trucks started running into people. No, I get that. And especially if you have like a job where you're like, I don't really like this. Like, at least for me, when I first watched Black Lagoon, I was still in high school, so it was a little more of a just like, I don't like going to school every day. But if I had any of my jobs that I hated, I would feel it. I'd be like, no, I want to go be a pirate, meet some hot pirate babe, and we can do piratey things together.
Let's see what else is on here that I can.
I'm always surprised too when you look at the Annie list scores compared to like some of those My Anime List scores, because if you sort by score, it puts you at Dot Hack Sign being number 1 and Ame-Goddess being number 2, which blows my mind that I have to scroll to get to Death Note. I have to scroll to get to Heat Guy J and Full Metal Alchemist. It's mind-boggling how people rate things differently on this compared to My Anime List. What would you put as your personal, like, your go-to? And when someone says favorite, What's your response to that?
My favorite anime I could watch over and over would be Cowboy Bebop. It's just a good one. It's got enough action that you're just like you're really into it, but the music uh, and the dialogue is just so relaxing. You can just chill out and enjoy it. Like you don't have to be like, oh yeah, this is awesome. It's like this is just plain old good. Like I can relax, and it's still like funny. It's still emotional. It's still, uh, there's plenty of action to go around.
It's got levels, right?
Yeah.
It's got different parts, different speeds.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything is full bore, not everything is romance, not everything, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think sort of went away as like the 2000s progressed. We got more and more shows that were very one note, and going into the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the one note of things like Shikimori that are just like they're in love. Look at their
Mm-hmm.
love. This is them in love, and you're like, all right, whatever, who cares? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but if you, oh, I watched one of the greatest anime that I'm still technically watching because the person I watch it with, I don't see all the time. But Heat Guy J, Heat Guy one word, J the letter, and it's about a boy and his android, and holy crap, is it a spiritual successor to everything 90s? You've got feels of bebop. You've got feels of sort of Guyver esque feels to it. It's just even though I know Guyver was remade in the 2000s, it's one of my favorite series that came out in the 2000s, but it was originally an OVA back in the 90s and 80s, and it feels great and it looks great. It's got the music and it's got the slow parts in between the detective parts, in between the action shooting parts, and it's sort of
Mm-hmm.
it has those different cadences like you're talking about that make it really great. But I have never heard of it until like was it the November of last year when I was just scrolling through Crunchyroll essentially, or scrolling through Funimation, because it also came out. A lot of those early 2000s, back when we had all those same dub actors at the same time,
Yeah.
they still had really good performances, and it's really fun to listen to in English versus the Japanese.
Mm.
But watch that one, He Guy J.
Mm.
And of course, Full Metal Panic is always going to be one of my favorites. So if you haven't seen it, everybody needs to see that one.
Definitely.
Don't die on me. Are you okay?
No, I've been sick
Duff
for the
beer.
last few days.
Duff beer wrecks your throat. You've been sick.
Duff man.
That's
Yeah.
no good.
I had a sinus infection, and then when my body gets a sinus infection, the rest of my body's like, "Oh, you have this? Let's just give up." And so my headache happens, and then my back's like, "Oh, we're done too. Good luck sleeping."
You didn't almost bleed to death this time, though, did you?
Oh, I'm fine now.
Okay.
Well, for the most part, I'm a little toasty.
I'll never forget. I've got to go, and then finding out that you just almost bled to death with me on stream. So I don't want that happening again. No, not again.
Not this time.
We're not this time. Not again.
I'm just in stream. I gotta go.
Yep. It's a moment I'll never forget, and it's now a phrase that's just forever in my brain.
Core memory.
Core memory, yeah. And not one of those fake ones where people forget different parts of it. They're like, I'm gonna remember that forever.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of here. Your studies on memory. I don't believe in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What else did I pull up? I feel like I found another one that I wanted to go through. Oh, this is the wrong page. The wrong thing entirely. No. To Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
Well, 6 hours ago, We had somebody say that Cowboy Bebop is cliched.
Cliched.
I love this. I love people who write articles about all this stuff. 10 ways Cowboy Bebop is cliched. This was published 6 hours ago. It's almost as though they knew your favorite anime was going to be Cowboy Bebop, which I didn't. All right, let's look at this together here.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboy Bebop is an iconic retro anime featuring the titular jet black Spike Spiegel and Faye Valentine. Despite its charm, the show has its cliches. Point 1. Cliches are okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cliches are important. Cliches give us they give us the ability to sort of understand what's going to happen before it happens. They give us a place to start from or to understand. And you know, we enjoy when cliches get broken or when things change, but at the same time, like, come on, we have cliches for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're only at subtitle. Do you feel like your favorite anime has been cliched?
I mean, everything is cliched ever since probably the late 80s, honestly. Because if it's an established character trope or an established plot line that's already happened, of course it's going to be cliched.
So, prediction, is this a negative article or is this just a fact article?
Depends on how things go through.
I don't recall Brooke Thomas as an author. I haven't followed all of these links yet. Netflix's November 2021 live-action remake of Cowboy Bebop was critically panned, but it still inspires fans to rewatch the iconic anime. Doing so begs the question of whether the original series holds up past the nostalgia, as the anime industry has had its fair share of cliche moments. Revisiting it after so many years emphasizes this. Okay. So now they're equating whether or not it holds up to whether or not it has cliche moments. So I have a feeling we're going to have issue with these.
Mm-hmm.
While the show is undoubtedly a classic, its brooding main character Spike Spiegel, overly sexualized female sidekick Faye Valentine. Why is overly sexualized not a link to fan service? Come on, CBR, get on with it. You and your links are always driving me nuts. And cruel villain Vicious all feel like the tropes that fans have seen too many times before. From overdone character tropes to formulaic plot lines, Cowboy Bebop earns its disapproving explications. Why would you disapprove, and why would you show that image? The aloof hero who assumes a devil-may-care attitude is a common figure in anime. These characters usually turn out to be great fighters who outsmart their opponents because they are so detached. Spike Spiegel is a great example of this archetype. He is a martial arts master and one of the anime's best gunslingers. Confident in his skill, he often goads enemies into combat by frustrating them with his composure and arrogance. This results in widespread destruction almost every time. But Spike always comes out on top. He's one of the most cliched characters in the show. From his adherence to this archetype, and fans can predict exactly what will happen because the trope is so formulaic. Okay, one of anime's best gunslingers? Top 10 gunslingers? What? Who writes these articles? I don't understand. Angela Delos Trinos. This year, actually. This year, Gunslinger Girl. Okay, real quick. Cowboy Bebop, Madlax, Hellsing, Gunsmith Cats, Lupin, Black Lagoon, Go-Go. Go-Go 13 is the best gunslinger in anime. Anyway, back to this. I would honestly say that Spike is not really a cliche when it comes to specifically his combat, because that's what they're calling out. Confident in his skill, goading people, his combat. Because the coolest part about Spike was he had a gun, and then he starts doing kung fu. Like he's doing Jeet Kune Do, he's doing Bruce Lee stuff, and that was interesting and crazy to watch because you're like, whoa. When did this happen? How did we get here? Because you expect him to just be a cowboy where he's like, you know, Clint Eastwood, where he's detached and just shoots, you know, and doesn't really move too much. Maybe he punches somebody, but then he gets these crazy moves where he's actually fighting, and you're like, whoa, that's different. So I feel like the first cliche they pull out is something that actually, you oh, he's aloof. Who cares? The thing you described is also one of the things that makes him interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, they're just focusing on the way he fights and stuff. Like if you look at the like interactions he has with like third party characters throughout regular episodes, he gets frustrated. He's not necessarily aloof. He actually gets annoyed with other characters, so that's not necessarily aloof. I think that's just a broad overstatement to just say that about his devil may care attitude. No, he actually gets bothered, like often.
Yeah, like that's part of the joke is that he doesn't want dogs and women. So it's a constant issue with him and not wanting or not having beef in his beans or bell peppers and beef. It is back and forth. So interesting choice there. Faye Valentine is used for fan service too often. Wonderful photo to show how much fan service Faye has. Anime fans are well acquainted with the idea of fan service characters. This character is often placed in precarious situations to sexualize them. For example, Faye is often drawn in revealing outfits, like when she dressed up for the opera. Furthermore, she is captured by a few different characters throughout the series, and this puts her in compromising positions with suggestive undertext. This device is one of the top things fans want less of in anime. If this has fan service on the top 10 things we want less of, they're wrong. Oh, it's number 10. At least it's at the bottom, but like, holy crap. One of the most hated things I'm following the links.
Yeah.
Worst 2000 anime tropes trends ranked. You load? Can't even load the page. You can't even load it because fan service is okay and 2000s had the best. How can you say that the character who uses their sexuality as a weapon is then fan service? I get it that like we just want to label anything fan service when it's titillating, but that's kind of the point of someone who's a femme fatale who is then going to say, oh, look at this person. Aren't I sexy? Oh, you dropped your guard. Now you're dead. Like that's the point of the character. Like, how is this? Like, it's a full like dress thing.
I'm looking at the titles of this writer's other articles as well.
Oh no. Top 10 worst trends of 2000s anime ranked. Harem genre was everywhere. Mecha anime started to lose its prominence as a genre. Moe anime became much more popular. Otaku culture became a dominant force. Incomplete adaptations were more common. Neon Genesis Evangelion ripoffs were everywhere. Long runners were everywhere. Fan service became more blatant and risque. Most anime licensing companies disappeared, and there were way too many new anime being made. How is that the like trends? Anyway, animal sidekick, dime a dozen. Ein is an adorable animal sidekick who always gets the job done with the help of genetic modifications that make him incredibly smart. He's a genius dog who could even play shogi and answer communications. Even though Ein is just a corgi, he saves the Bebop's crew more than once. He's a data dog. That's literally the purpose.
Yeah.
Animal companions are wildly popular in anime, from talking critters like Luna or Happy to not quite animals like Kero-chan and Cone. Cowboy Bebop is no different. While fans typically welcome an anime's introduction of a pet or mascot, it is nonetheless a cliche for the sheer frequency of its use. Okay, I feel like again the connotation of cliche being negative is not appropriate. Like that's good. People have pets. People who don't want a dog get a dog, and it's funny to watch them deal with getting a dog. Like you see that picture or those gifs on Reddit where they're like, Dad said he didn't want a puppy, and then the puppy's like curled up asleep on sleeping dad, and it's like they're adorable, they're funny, we love that kind of stuff. And do you think cliches are negative automatically?
No, cliches are just commonalities. It's just another word for commonality. It makes things feel like they belong.
Pull up an actual like new definition of cliche. A phrase or opinion that is overused and betrays a lack of original thought. Stereotype or electrotype. Electro type, so it's a Pokemon.
Mm.
There's a vicious being evil for evil's sake is overdone. Oh my Nat, man, I'm gonna get him one of these days.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboy Bebop's primary antagonist is another character riddled with cliches. Spike encroaches on Vicious's love life and abandons their organization before the start of the series, so fans can understand why Vicious might hold some resentment toward the main character. However, Vicious' response to Spike and the world around him is melodramatic and cruel. Vicious got his name for a reason, but his displays of viciousness come across as evil for evil's sake. This reduces him to a generic villain role as a way to make Spike Spiegel a hero. Vicious doesn't feel as rounded as the other characters, and this is mainly due to the one-dimensional character trope he boils down to. Thus, he becomes a run-of-the-mill cliche of a villain whose only goal is to achieve some amorphous standard of badness. What do you think?
I mean, it's not like completely wrong. I mean, but there is something that they don't. They're looking at this from strictly like a translated perspective. His name is Vicious, but his name was also Vicious in the Japanese version. But to a Japanese person, unless they know what the word vicious in English meant, it was just his name.
Right.
So there's a lot lost in like watching without the cultural context of what a character is in mind.
Well, I feel like that's exactly it too. What you're saying, like, we're hearing it in English, and then we hear his name, and we can equate that English word. We're also thinking of it from like the English and like American mafia, right? Whereas in Japan, like the Yakuza works very differently. They're very, very quick to violence like that. So for them to say this is the head of the syndicate and he'll just chop off your head if he doesn't like what you're saying, that is a very normal response for the same person who will make sure that the local fruit stand stays in business. So it's I think you're right where they're losing a lot of it in the translation from Japanese to English. But even then, I felt like, you know, I didn't necessarily know a lot of that context back when I first watched Cowboy Bebop, but I felt like Vicious was, you know, he was the Godfather, right? He had that, like, the ability to just put a dead horse in a guy's bed, but he also was doing it so that the company could survive, so that he could keep doing whatever the syndicate was doing, right? I never felt like he was just being evil for evil's sake. It always felt like it was coming from that position of we can keep going. And the obsession with Spike is a classic, like, he's the rat, we gotta stop the rat, we gotta cut off the rat. I just don't I don't agree with that as his cliche myself. I feel like there's just a lot more to his character. You just didn't see it. If you didn't see it, that doesn't make it bad. What's next? Spike never being able to get ahead on finances is a gimmick. Say the Bebop as a whole, because I feel like Jet's the one in most of the debt. Almost every single mission the Bebop's crew embarks on ends in catastrophe. They take a bounty to make ends meet, only to prove Murphy's Law. In the process, their crew does major property damage and is forced to spend all their money fixing it, even if they catch their target. Or if they even catch their target. This plotline is familiar as many episodic anime employ One Piece's. One Piece's Luffy spends all his earnings on food, only to have to make that money back. Yoruzuya. I don't know Yoruzuya. But struggling to pay rent in Gintama. Gintama's hilarious. I've only seen GIFs of little video snips of it. I should watch it at some point. Cowboy Bebop's episode formula is not unique in the slightest. Fans can safely say the majority of their missions have cliche plot lines with predictable endings.
I mean, that's just an anti-hero thing in a lot of animes and in Japanese shows in general. Anti-heroes and even villains are like constantly struggling to make ends meet, whether you like them or not. I mean, look at Team Rocket from Pokemon. That's like the first and foremost example that we have of people struggling to make ends meet, but they're still like trying to hack away at life, still trying to move forward.
I feel like that ignores the fact that they go somewhere.
Yeah.
Like they actually get to a place. Welcome back, Michael. A little delayed in that one. Welcome, John. Enjoy the 1.5 speed. Hopefully you catch up in the next hour. I feel like this ignores the whole point where it's episodic in nature, and so you need to have a reset. So when you watch shows like Frasier, Friends, sitcoms that are sort of revolving around the same people in the same instance, you sort of need them to do and accomplish, but also get reset so that every episode they can do it again. And so we used to watch this growing up where we would have a show where every episode something different happens and everybody starts from sort of point A or point B, because at the time you had no idea what episode you'd be stepping into. So they had to make it so you could jump in and just be okay with not having seen every other episode up to then.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboy Bebop has an overarching story, has an overarching plot line, has a place that it's going, has stuff that you learn throughout the show as it goes. And that's one of the things that really drew me into anime and watching full series, was that idea that, we had sort of repetition with different episodes. Like you can just watch any episode of Dragon Ball and you'll kind of get it as long as you know that they're hunting for the Dragon Balls. That old series was really good. And then DBZ gets into the more full length arcs, right? But there was a time there where every episode was very unique and very different, and you could sort of follow along with a grander story while still only watching a couple episodes and having really self-contained plot. And I feel like that isn't cliche, because at the time that was really unique, at least to a Western audience. Like what did we have that had a overarching story in media at the time? Through the 80s we had Cheers, Married with Children, 90s or 80s, I never remember that one, but
80s. Star Trek Next Generation.
Star Trek, okay.
Yeah.
But even that,
it was still episodic.
The overall mission is a big long mission. Meanwhile, it's a just a very straightforward this is an episode, these 2 episodes are part 1 and part 2, or this is an episode. I don't think it was until Voyager that even Star Trek got into that overarching, here's a singular storyline that we're trying to follow, while at the same time having these small episodic bits to keep people entertained.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's a cliche in hindsight only.
Yeah. Well, I think what did this article even come out? I think a lot of this is just hindsight. 6 hours ago, like you said. So I think it's just, if you were to write this at the time of the showing, original dates of this show, I don't think they'd have been cliched. Like at least half of these wouldn't have been.
Right, exactly. Spike running from a secret past is not original. I feel like there's a difference between cliche and not original.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody having a dark past, like, don't ask me about my history, it isn't specifically original, but the way that you do it is. Tons of heroes run from their past. It's a common way to stir up internal conflict. One of the harsh realities of being Spike Spiegel is that he must constantly run from the Syndicate. He cannot make amends for betraying the Syndicate and its leader because he knows Vicious is out for blood, so he pretends to be dead and lives as a bounty hunter. Fans have seen this happen many times. Guts tries to leave his past with Griffith behind in Berserk. Does he? And Itachi Uchiha has to leave his home to avoid repercussions for the crimes he committed in Naruto. Eventually, they all have to confront those issues, Spike included. Thanks to this plot device's overuse, it falls firmly in the cliche camp. Is it cliche? Maybe? I would say yes, because they're really kind of pulling from that '80s super action star who has a dark brooding past, and I love it. That's the thing that I still don't understand about this article. Is like, that's fine, that's good. I don't see that being a problem.
I think it's cliche as well. I mean, it goes to being that character who's dark and mysterious. So how do you do that? Oh, let's just give them a past that we don't really talk about. So then they run away from it.
Right. Then you don't have to figure it out. It's a classic video game. Make it an empty vessel.
Open for interpretation. Yeah.
Here's one. Spike's obsession with noodles is not unique. Comic relief. Is not unique. Sorry for not being unique. Who else loves food? Anime characters' obsession with food is often a source of comic relief, but it has become a common trope that has all but lost its humorous appeal. One of Spike's coping mechanisms is leaving his crew to search for a good bowl of noodles. This sometimes leads to a calamity. He is either dragged into an altercation or he misses out on a crisis the crew faces while he's gone. Spike is not the only anime character who obsesses over a single food. He's not even the only one with a noodle infatuation, as Naruto Uzumaki hyperfixates on ramen. Meanwhile, Luffy is only focused on meat. While fans can relate to the love of food, this gluttonous character trope is passé. I have never in my life once thought, man, Spike's such a glutton for noodles. Such a noodle glutton.
I haven't either.
I can't believe that this one would be at 4 out of 10 when it feels like this is the like scratching the bottom of the barrel for something that could be on a top 10 list. It's like, just make that a thing that you're like, oh, specialty mentions or whatever. Yeah, now it's a common trope. I'm trying to think, even back then, days. Like I guess Spirited Away, the family eats all the food. Like, there's characters that will be like, I have to eat. I'm always needing to eat. I need to eat more. But like, just to say like, oh, well, this is a trope. It just seems like a weird trope. Like, it's a trope when like Brad Pitt eats in every single Ocean's movie, but I don't really know that that's like a cliche from oh, this is always the character that's eating. But it is now. But you wouldn't go back to Oceans and be like, well, that created a trope.
No, you wouldn't. And I think this one's overreaching.
Definite overreach. Faye is a nagging woman stereotype. The way Cowboy Bebop treats female characters doesn't age well, though it is a frequently reoccurring stereotype in anime. Cowboy Bebop is accused of depicting female characters as nagging shrews. Poor Faye Valentine is regularly rendered in a bad light as she complains about the Bebop's cleanliness or her crewmates' responsibilities. Fans are tired of portrayals like this. It does both the character and women in the audience a disservice. Relying on painfully overdone, oversimplified, and stereotypical caricatures of femininity is not only offensive, it's also plainly cliche. Ooh, baby. So what? You don't want strong women in anime? Is that
I think that's
argument?
I think that's what being said. They don't want good representation. No, she should have just been quiet and stood off in a corner and only been useful when asked for.
You know, she's only fan service. And when she's not fan service, she's nagging, and that makes it awful. Like, no, she also is a femme fatale who can do things and who is like strong and powerful and gets her own bounties and joins the crew because she wants to. Like, there's nothing really keeping her on the Bebop. That's the beauty of their relationship, is she's just hanging out because it's useful. You know, it would be maybe a cliche of if you look at like the character who hangs out because it works out and it makes stuff they can pay their bills by hanging out with this one team, right? But then she also does stuff and she's a part of the team and she's a part of the skills. Like I said, she's a strong impassioned female character, so it's like, well, we got to get her off the Bebop. Why is this a link? Cowboy Bebop treats female characters doesn't age well is a hyperlink to 10 things that didn't age well in Cowboy Bebop. What? Okay, I'm doing this one fast. Some of the logic of Bebop. Spacesuits and all that kind of crap. Mistreatment of animals. It was worse for him when he nearly died after a bounty hunter threw him out of a hover car. Yeah, that was kind of sad, and we were supposed to be sad for that. Smoking and more smoking. Okay, whatever. People smoke. Child abandonment. What would you rather they be vaping the whole time? Child abandonment. Lackadaisical treatment towards Ed's backstory. Poisoning the Bebop crew. Oh, the one where they got crap in the thing, the mushroom samba.
The mushrooms was an excellent episode.
It's such a good episode. How is that a bad thing? Occasional racism. I'm sorry. It's the 90s in space doing a like redo of classic kind of 80s tropes. Of course you're going to have the like Foxy with a big afro. Like that's one of the tropes that you do. Talking about Shaft and blaxploitation. Like we need to acknowledge that existed, and if you're going to do a throwback to it, you got to include it. Mistreatment of sexual diversity. The off-color jokes with Julius. My name is Julius, not Julia. Women in Cowboy Bebop, just period. Erroneous portrayals of members of the LGBT community. I'm sorry. When you have to say community, there is someone in that community that is that person. I don't care what the stereotype is or anything like that. I've met enough people to know that they all exist. And you're going to take out that one piece of representation that they felt because it's offensive to someone else in the broader community. That drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. Terrorism!
Well, that's from the movie.
That is a scene from the movie. A group of criminals, Dark Knight, Joker, terrorists. It's not even as bad as Evangelion, where they had to straight up change something because it actually was like a terror attack, right? Like, get out of here with thinking it's bad because of terrorism. Terrorism happens, and we should have it in our media as well because of the thing that occurs. And a possible reference to sexual assault, because we can't have films that include sexual assault. Technically took place in the movie.
Yeah.
And it was an implication. We have an implication of sexual assault. Wow. Who'd have thought that would be the hyperlink that I needed to click? I don't get it. Why do people hate stuff so much? I just hate people's take on things because people are putting a take on things that let's be real for like a minute. If nobody said Shikimori and Izumi were the perfect relationship, that it wasn't their favorite rom-com of the season, if they admitted that Love After World Domination is the superior relationship show, and that Shikimori is a kind of mid romance in high school, very, very silly show, I wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't be watching it. I wouldn't have made you watch it if that were the case. With people's bad takes and weird takes about stuff that sort of ignore what shows and what escapism should be, that drive me nuts. Put a steering wheel on my belt buckle and drive me nuts. But it's just like, this is the whole point of escapism, is to take whatever reality you're dealing with and give you something else, give you something different. And if they give you something that's exactly like your life, the escapism needs to give you something that will help you in your real life, like some tool or some different way to look at something, some other perspective, something that helps you really sort of apply that to your life. Or it needs to just sort of help distract you, get your mind thinking about other things and opening up. We see in Dress Up Darling, as Gojo starts experiencing other things and learning about other things, his skill and craft improves, because that's how your brain works. Your brain opens up and it gets better and it gets smarter by just experiencing things. And these people that come in and they say, "Oh, your escapism's bad. It's bad because there's rape in it." It's like, get out of here! Get out of this escapism! The rape wasn't good. This isn't like some weird porno where we're like, yeah, he's raping her good. I like that. It doesn't even show anything. It's just an implication because he cuts her like top off. And you're like, yeah, you know what? We need to not have things that have rape. What if somebody needs to see that so they can see their character that dealt with the same thing they dealt with at some point in their life? Maybe someone just a little too handsy. Maybe it was actual rape accusation or a rape event that occurred to them. And they need to see how their strong woman character deals with that. Like, get out of here with thinking that's a negative when it comes to anything in a show. Gosh, that drives me nuts. Here, take over for a second while I breathe for a minute.
Welcome to the stream, everyone. While Blaine takes a quick drink, this is Blaine and Bill in the morning. It's morning somewhere.
Well, welcome to Morio Radio. Man, these links. That's you know what? Say what you will about CBR and the articles they put out. They are on top of the links, and the links are so weird, but they always lead to something where you're like, I would have never come across that article if I didn't search for it specifically or find a link on the article that was written today. So their SEO is on point, I'm sure, but bam. The Bebop reminds fans of other famous spaceships. Like the Bebop?
Yeah, really?
There's little that stands between a man and a spaceship in the science fiction genre is no different for Jet Black, who pilots the Bebop. He cares for and prioritizes his ship no matter the cost. Damaging the ship is a surefire way to elicit Jet's ire. Yeah, he wants to protect it. Famous spaceships are often named and piloted by a single character who becomes the ship's legendary captain and fierce steward. Captain Kirk's Enterprise, Han Solo's Millennium Falcon, and Star-Lord's Milano are all great examples. The beloved spaceship is a negative trope. Oh, What? Do you know what you wrote? Like, how can you put in the title that the Bebop reminds fans of other famous spaceships, and then you just list spaceships and then call that, like, the cliche or the trope is the captain and his ship, or the captain that loves his ship, or the captain that falls in love with his ship. And then you talk about how Jet leaves his family or whatever and leaves his policing behind so that he can be the captain of the ship, right? That's where that was going. And then it just says that he loves his ship. But just saying that the Bebop is the problem, like, the Bebop's one of the most unique ships I think I've ever seen. The first time that it lands in the water is one of the coolest scenes when you're a little boy who's really into math and engineering. You're like, oh my goodness, it's a boat now? That's amazing. And it just is one of the coolest ships ever. Like, did you have that same reaction when you saw the Bebop land the first time?
Oh, heck yeah, dude.
How can that be the thing? And like the Starfish or the Swordfish 2 is still one of my favorite. Like, I want the Bandai model. I missed it when I was at it was at a PAX or something like that. Or no, I was at Anime Expo when they were selling it, and I missed out on it. But the Bandai made like a full like Gunpla model kit of the Swordfish 2, and I didn't get it because it's such a cool. It does like the Corsair thing where like the wings fold up at weird angles. Like, everything about the ships in the show are cool. So don't tell me that they're cliche and then say something that has nothing to do with it. Gosh. The Vicious. All right, I'm moving on. I'm moving on from that one. The Vicious Julia and Spike love triangle was contrived. There's no better way to pit characters against each other than to include a love rivalry. In Cowboy Bebop, Vicious, Spike, and Julia have a tenuous relationship fraught with betrayal and anger. The love triangle is a tale as old as time. It can be found across all genres and mediums. An example of an iconic love triangle in anime is the one between Naruto's Ino Yamanaka and Sakura Haruno as they fight over Sasuke Uchiha. Wait, aren't those both females fighting over a dude? Isn't that like a backwards love triangle compared to the one in Bebop? So it's not the same. Another is Inuyasha, who can't decide between Kagome and Kikyo. One guy, two girls again. Love rivalries are so popular because they are relatable, but they are still overdone. I don't know that love triangles are relatable. Is that a
No,
thing? Do you relate?
I've never seen a real love triangle before. Like it just doesn't make sense.
I like the
I don't think
closest
they're
I think I've ever seen is where you had two people that were in love, they were dating, they were married, whatever it was, and then someone else was like, "Man, I really wish they weren't dating so I could date her," or something like that. That's probably the closest
yeah.
I've ever seen. But they never actually like pursue anything because they're respectful of that relationship. But like it just does. How is that? Who are you? Who are you? All right, Brooke. I know you've already been looking at some of the articles from Brooke, but let's see. Brooke Thomas lives and writes out of Houston, Texas. Ooh, Houston. That's where Formula is going to be in a few weeks. She has an MA in English literature and works as an anime list writer for CBR.com. When she's not watching anime, drawing her own comics and writing, you can find her playing catch with her dog and rock climbing. I should write for CBR. This guy can get out of here. Are you assuming their gender, Michael DeLucia III? Brooke Thomas, Brooke with an E, is whatever they want to be at this point. This guy can get out of here. Get out of here, you Texas weirdo. They're just a list writer, though. What an interesting career choice. I want to make lists on the internet. 8 times. 8 times. 8, 10, 10. Bit strict. Is there anything in any, like, are they all lists? Like, how far did you scroll through this?
I've only been on the first page, but so far I'm on the second. They're all lists. Like it even says in the little red letters right above it is list.
Yeah. Like a whole category on their site.
List.
Oh my goodness. I don't understand the impetus to make something like this. I know your psychology is primarily in relationship, but is it just because someone needs a buck? Is that why they do it?
It's the same for kids. Any attention, whether it's bad or good, attention is attention.
How many hits do you think this website gets?
Too many.
They're all from me. That's the truth here. They're all my hits.
It's not about, yeah, I agree with this list. It's like, let's just rip this apart. Let's see.
Let's see what like their first list was. Let's see how. Oh, they got only 16 pages of things. They've only written 303 articles. They're nowhere near.
No, they've compiled. Status. They've compiled 303 lists. They didn't write anything.
Which means they've analyzed 3,000 things because each list has 10 things in it, except for the ones that have 8.
Everything's the same show. It's like Pokemon, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I wish they went deeper into like their anime history. Like I can kind of guess looking at this because everything, like you said, it's Naruto, it's Death Note, it's JoJo, My Hero, Avatar. Get out of here. Get out of here. More and more I'm agreeing with Mike.
Okay, I found their first list. 10 Pokemon that carry around weird accessories. Kadabra and Alakazam have silver spoons. Delphox uses a stick. Hypno has a pendulum. Spoink has a pearl on its head.
What?
Komala has a log. Hoopa has golden hoops. Klefki has keys. Passimian has some stuff. What?
Fruit flinging.
Yeah, Farfetched has an onion.
Okay, that picture of Farfetched and their onion.
Yeah. Hey, you want a bite of this onion?
Oh, what are Farfetched moves? Farfetched looks like a redo of Healer right now, and I don't know that that's appropriate for an anime about kids. I mean, it is an anime about kids turning animals into a underground fighting ring, so maybe it is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Girder.
Girder has a girder.
It looks like an H beam in the scene, not an I beam.
Yeah. Not just any I-beam, a red iron I-beam.
Red iron I beam. Oh my goodness. Oh, this was so much fun. Oh. So,
Yeah.
what time are you normally streaming on Twitch?
I start at 8 Central on Tuesdays or Fridays or Saturdays. But Tuesday has been my Tuesday has been my most consistent day. I took a long vacation between March 1st and last Tuesday. Last Tuesday was the first time I've been on in a while because we just had another child. So
New baby.
Yeah. So our sleep schedule is completely off and we're adjusting. But we're getting into the groove of things.
Little boy, little girl, little deer,
little boy, not
little
sweet
boy?
tooth.
Awesome. Well, you've had a kid already. You know what to expect. You know what it's gonna be. But cheers to you. That and best of strength, we will say, as you deal with this time of low sleep and much action as you go through things. So 8 p.m. Central Time correlates to 6 p.m. Pacific Time for anyone who cares and needs to Google it like I do. And Tuesday for the primaries. Your link is in the description. It was fantastic to chat. I liked getting into some of the psychology behind the anime because some shows we watch are like built around the psych. Like you watch something like Death Note, and you're watching somebody's psychological breakdown as they're introduced to power, and that's like the point of the show. And then we get some shows where like there may be something interesting here, but they don't ever talk about it, like Shikimori, where it's like just sort of ignored and be like, no, they're fine, they're a great couple, everything's gonna be good. But we can look at it and we can get, like you were saying, into that idea of the constant protector. Like we can see problems that are going to be coming down the line. Which I guess actually I didn't ask specifically on that one. Having done couples counseling and being in that realm, what would you recommend Shikimori and Izumi get married?
If the relationship progressed properly, then yes. But I do have my concerns about the mother. Not for the whole like she's creepy kind of deal, but also like she has this parasitic relationship with her as well, needing her to never leave Izumi like at all too. She's like, please don't like get frustrated with him. Please don't like basically like don't ever break up with him, please.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. You're I'm obviously really lucky when it comes to that because my in-laws fantastic people. I love all of them. And they mix into my family very well. But I also come from a very, sort of accepting and really happy and gregarious family. And so does my Katie. She comes from a very similar family where everybody's really happy and gregarious and willing to help out. So those two things sort of mesh together.
Oh yeah.
Does it happen commonly that the in-laws become that big of a problem, or do you just move away? You're just like, well, we're leaving the state. We'll see you at Christmas.
I don't know. I think it comes uh, just from regional differences. Like my wife comes from small town countryside kind of deal where like most of the family lives within a 5 mile radius of each other, so they're used to seeing each other all the time. Whereas my family is quite spread out across the state, or even into other states, and we only see each other on like the big occasions and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So it's when we first started going together, it was strange to her that I didn't call my parents all the time, or we didn't like see them for long stretches. And then I'm like, we go to her family's house for a weekend, and I end up meeting like the entire family the first time I'm there, and it's like, oh, this is not intimidating whatsoever.
Yeah, I've got that same giant family
Hmm.
that everybody hangs out together, and my Katie was on your end of things where it was just her sister, mom, and dad, right? Um,
Hmm.
funny that we flipped that. That's the one thing we flipped in our relationship.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it is interesting. Michael's right. She doesn't seem like the mother has bad luck. Even though they've said she has bad luck, she seems like she's straight up clumsy, which
Yeah.
makes me wonder if maybe the dad has bad luck.
Mm.
Maybe mustachioed Mufasa over there has the bad luck, and he's the one that brings this Tanuki curse into the family. But that was my first thought when I saw him. I was like, "That's dad. He's got a curse on him. He's a cursed
Yeah.
human. There is something cursed about this. I'm not reading that Dojin. I'm not. I'm not going to do it. I'm sure it's out there, but I don't want to look at it. Um. Anyway, I am I'm out of things to say for tonight. A weird night.
Yeah.
You have anything else you want to plug?
I sell shirts.
Oh, there we go.
They're anime themed and they're adorable. This is a girl with a gun. Her shirt says gun in my shirt. But it's all on my Twitch on my about page.
Okay.
If you like anime themed shirts, then definitely hit that up. Two of them are up right now, and then there's other that's like video game themed because I do video gaming on my Twitch channel. I have one shirt that says "Friends don't let friends play inverted." Uh,
So very themed, very good gaming or anime themed stuff. So
yeah.
you find that link down in the description to your Twitch as well
Mm-hmm.
as to your show. E-Class Anime says, I think Shikimori could be good, but it seems to lack character depth. I was expecting better written characters when I heard it was the next My Dress Up Darling. I would say go ahead and start with everything I've ever said about Shikimori for this entire season. I've been trying to make specific cuts and highlights of it, but I have from the beginning been told exactly what you were told. They gave the whole meme with All Might being like, "You're next," and like it's Marin, and she's like, "You're next," and then the next is Shikimori, and you're like, oh, okay, interesting. So I'm excited to see how she has like goals and aspirations and meet someone who can help her find her goals and aspirations. And they just don't do that or explain that, and there's nothing good about it. And now we end up with this whole like, why are they even together? How are they together? Why are all their
Mm-hmm.
friends more interesting? And I'm in that same boat, E-Class. And the only reason that I am still watching this show is to keep up with the people that have all of these bad takes, because for some reason they're the greatest bi couple on the planet according to Twitter. And I get it that we shouldn't really listen to them, but maybe we should try to figure out why they think. And I still just can't do it. I can't figure out why they like it. Uh, so far, the best part of all of this is following Louis Kemner, a writer for CBR, who is starting to say that maybe she's not, she shouldn't be perfect anymore, that she needs to be more interesting as a character. And his whole character growth in realizing that this show isn't great has been the best part about following Shikimori. So I hope I actually want to talk to him someday, just so I can talk to him about how his opinions have changed and how he's gone through this. So that's been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Glad you found the channel, E-Class. And Michael, maybe read the manga, especially if you've got like a um what is the manga service? What is the one where you can just like read anything online? Not
Mm.
Katakawa. Somebody has like a giant manga library. If you've got anything connected to that where you can just like read it for free, or technically free because you just pay like a monthly for it, then I'd recommend doing that just to see if you like it, see if you enjoy it, because it looks like they get into some of the backstory, but from what I've seen in the backstory, you're gonna be just as disappointed. My recommendation is still drop this show, drop Shikimori, don't watch it. It's not great. It's not the next Dress Up Darling. It's not the greatest romance that you've ever seen. It's just it's another meh anime show that has a actually rather problematic relationship built into it.
We watch it so you don't have to.
Exactly. There you go. There you go. Blaine's escape course. You can escape the show and drop it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, that is gonna do it for me tonight. Thank you so much for jumping on, Bill. Hang out in the meeting after the song, and then we will chat and say goodnight after that. Thank you everyone for hanging out and watching and enjoying it. Hit like, hit share, let your friends know. We're here to talk about anime, and we'll expand to other things in escapism, and really want to figure out how we can best make use of our escape and really find the good ones that really are helpful and useful, and not waste any time on things that aren't super fun. Louis' next arc prediction, I think we're gonna get an article about how the friends are really interesting, and we want to know more about the friends. Like, he's gonna follow that theme after episode 4, and then in one of these episodes, what was it you said, that there's gonna be an episode where he protects her?
Yeah, it'll just be a one-off.
That's going to happen, and he's gonna write the comeback story of the century, where he's like, Shikimori's got a problem, and he's gonna say it's the best anime of the season again, and then it's gonna drop off just like you said, and he's gonna have to readmit that Shikimori is good but not great, or something like that, and it's just gonna end with him in this sort of like middling arc. But the next arc is the cope with friends arc.
Yeah.
Well, the main characters may not be the best, but the supporting cast is one of the best I've ever seen. Nekozaka, what's her name?
Nekozaki.
Nekozaki is the ideal bi friend that we all wish we had. That's gonna be his next article. Yep, it felt like a lack of character depth when Shikimori didn't have an answer for is there anything you want to do or anywhere you want to go. I then thought Marin certainly has things she likes. Exactly. And you can follow up with everything I've said on the Marin and Gojo have goals and passions and things that they like and things they enjoy and things they want to pursue, and them coming together in a relationship makes them better at the things that they want to do and pursue and do. Do and pursue and do. That's what I said. And achieve, right? It makes for a supportive relationship where you can help each other, you fill each other's flaws out, but it's not just like you were talking about, Bill, that protection thing where you're like, oh, well, they have this flaw of getting hurt all the time and I'm going to keep them from getting hurt. You're actually helping them achieve their goals, and you have this symbiosis that comes out of that. And for some people, I think that symbiosis is kids in a family, right? You come together to build the kids, build the family, and that, and your partner will make one thing, whichever side you're on, you're doing your best to make sure that unit works together. But we get to see little bits and snips of that in Marin and Gojo with their passions and everything. So. I've gotten quite animated about that over the past few weeks. So there's plenty of material if you want to laugh at me about that E-class. But in the meantime, once again, Bill, Fantastic chatting with you, everyone. Check out his Twitch down below. Check him out on Tuesdays, 8 p.m. I'm assuming p.m. Central Time.
Yes.
8 p.m.
Yes.
Central Time. And we will catch you tomorrow, where I wanna see what the world thinks about the spring 2022 anime season. What is the rest of the world thinking so far as we move into the rest of this? So we will move forward with that, and you have a wonderful rest of your night. Kampai.
Bye.
Okay, so you're